Hi, everybody. Um, as you know, we're starting a brand new book this week. It's called Love That Dog by Sharon Creech, and it has a lot to do with poetry. It's about a boy learning how to write about poetry and some of the things he thinks about. And in the book, they go over some pretty important poems in literature. So we just want to make sure that everybody knows what poetry is. I know some of you love poetry. I've seen you read it. Some of you kind of stay away from it. And some of you, this is maybe new to you. You know, the whole idea of poetry. We don't always have time to be creative, but poetry is creative. So we just wanted to make sure that we covered that you knew the words that we're going to be using. So what is poetry? It's a type of literature that expresses ideas, feelings, or tells a story in a specific form, usually using lines and stanzas. And we'll talk about lines and stanzas later, but poetry is any kind of writing that has lots of feeling and expresses ideas. And it doesn't have to be a story. It could be just about one thing that means a lot to you. And so, I was listening to Miss Mendoza talk, and she was saying that, poetry is music. Music like love songs or songs that you really like or that are important things. That's poetry if you ever just look at the lyrics. So again, words, it's, words that express ideas and feelings and tells a story. All right, and then here is Mr. Leonardo da Vinci, one of my dolls. And he said that painting is poetry that is seen rather than felt. And poetry is a painting that is felt rather than seen. So, when we see a painting, it's got whoever is painting that means a lot to them. There's a lot of emotions in paintings. And then when you read poetry, it's the same kind of thing. It makes you feel things. It makes you see things in your mind's eye. So that was a quote by Da Vinci, one of my favorite guys. And so there's all sorts of poetry. Okay, there's lyrical, sonnets. The lyrical are sonnets, elegy, odes, and those have like kind of a rhythm. And then there's narrative that tells stories like epic and ballads. And we hear ballads when we see music too. And then there's dramatic monologues, soliloquies, and orations. And that's usually when somebody's like preaching something or telling something. That's a form of poetry. Then there's special types of poetry, haikus, which I hope we get the chance to try, free verse, which is what this book is written in, limerick, the name poem, acrostic, I'll show you what that is later, and then concrete poems, which are the funnest, I think, to write. So there's lots of different types of poetry, and as you go through your academic career, you're going to learn about different ones. All right, so this one is a fun one, like Shel Silverstein, things like that. So Shel Silverstein's a funny one, but this is by Barbara Vance, and so this is I ate a chili pepper. I ate a chili pepper on a lunchtime dare. Sandy said I'd burn my mouth, but I didn't care. I ate the chili pepper, left not a seed to waste, and won that truly silly bet, but lost my sense of taste. So it's a rhyming poem, and it's got a story about a bet that this boy apparently wins. And so again, it's short, and this one has the rhyme and the rhythm, and we'll talk about that later too. And so I just wanted to talk to you about this right here. We call them when we're writing paragraphs, but really they're in poetry, they're called stanzas. So this is a stanza. So this part's a stanza, and then this is a stanza. So this poem is 2 stanzas long. And see how there's really no rhyme or reason for punctuation, which I'm sure some of you are going to love. Each one of these lines in a stanza is called a line. And that's so that if we say, oh, on the 3rd line, we want to talk about burn my mouth or something like that, we know how to identify instead of saying, oh, the 3rd paragraph or the 3rd sentence in the 5th paragraph. This way, when we're talking about lines, you'll know what I mean. And when we're talking about stanzas, you know that we're talking about this whole paragraph. The acrostic poem, which I told you was one of the poems that we want to try. And so what they do is they take a word like the word be, a name, and then they put something special for each letter. So the acrostic poem or the name poem, you might have tried it before, and it says, so bee buzzing along and trying to find a flower. E, eating up all the nectar. E, every day, all day. You might want to try one of those with your name or your mom's name or the word mom, since Mother's Day is coming up soon. Let's see. And then here's some other ones. The sun is the word, and then shining, ultraviolet, not seen at night. And then here's earth, each person's conserving energy. A, assisting and protecting our planet. R, reducing, reusing, recycling. T, together we can save the earth. H, helping to heal the world. Earth Day poem, which we know just passed. And then these are the ones I was saying are pretty fun to write. These are concrete poems, are also called shape poems, but this is a poem and it's called the shape poem, and it says, this is the shape poem. It's about a house. As a shape poem, it forms the shape of the house. This is a little house, so it would be a little poem if it were a poem, but it's not, because a poet I'm not. So that's kind of a funny one. And then here's a tree one. So it says, trees you don't seem to like much, but you help us breathe and give animals homes. But still people cut you down. That's why some animals are endangered. If only they understood how important you are, because you are brilliant, marvelous, fantastic, majestic, lovely, and everything else good. So that's a type of concrete poem. And those are fun to write. And then check this one out. I love this one. This one is a poem about a fox, and the words shape a fox. And really, you don't even know where to start. You know, as the reader, you get to pick where you want to start reading. But it's a simple form of the fox. So it says sleepy, dreamer on the eyes. That makes sense. Peaceful and quiet. Sounds hum all around. And those are sound words around the ears. Soft, cozy breathing that mimics the gentle wind. So the face and the breathing. Do not forget the trees, swaying blankets, the ground in fresh new clothes of gold and red, covering the den with, let's see, well, I can't, okay. And then here it's got the trees wishing through the fur, and so the whole thing are all just words describing the fox. And so anyway, we're going to be starting Love That Dog, and in this, it's written in free verse poems with no specific rules or patterns that poets have to follow. Rules, number one rule is there's no rules. And to me, those of you who get kind of caught up in, oh no, do I need a sentence? Do I need this? Do I need a period? Is this a sentence? Is this... You're going to love this because there is no rhyme or reason. So if these poems were kids, they would stay up past their bedtimes and eat dessert and before dinner every night. So they wouldn't follow the rules. So I think you're going to love the freedom of free verse. And this book, I hope you like this book. All right, so here's one of the poems that are in the book, and it's called The Little Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams. And when you read the poems, he's not alive anymore, so he's kind of from older times where I guess people use more wheelbarrows. But here it is. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rain, water, beside the white chickens. So I'm going to start it. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with water beside the white chickens. And so he's telling us about that this wheelbarrow must be important to him. This must, he must be someone who uses it and depends on it. So here is what a wheelbarrow looks like if you haven't seen one. And again, it's got so much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rain water beside the white chickens. And as you can see the shape of this wheelbarrow, you see the shapes of these stanzas. So they've got the wheel in the front and then the handle in the back. And so this is another way he's being very creative by creating these words about a wheelbarrow that look like a wheelbarrow. And so, and there's no punctuation, there's no capital letters, there's one period at the end of chickens, but there was no capital letters. So, again, these are just ways poets express themselves. And so you're going to get a chance to try one as well if you want. And you've got to come up with a title. And so if you want to try one now, you can stop it and try it, write on a piece of paper. But if you don't, Miss Mendoza and I made our own. So she has a baby named Eva, as you know. And so this doll that Eva cannot sleep without. And so she thought she'd write this poem about Eva's doll. So, a small doll. So much depends upon a small doll with big brown eyes next to a soft pillow. And Miss Mendoza told me that, that she needs her little doll, that it's just a regular old doll, but to Eva, it's her baby. She calls it her baby. And so without her baby, she has trouble sleeping. So I really thought this was nice, a nice poem because it's a small doll. So much depends upon a small doll with big brown eyes next to a soft pillow. And I can even see, I could picture in my head a little girl falling asleep with the doll. Okay, and then here's mine because we've been gardening. I don't know, I've told some of you. And it's my garden's right outside my window. My son and I have been working on it. But I decided I'd write this poem. A little black seed. So much depends upon a little black seed. Covered with dirt, wet with fresh rain, next to my window. And I just see a typo. I should have had seed down here. Put the word seed down here so it would look like wheelbarrows. But maybe I should try to make them look like seeds. I don't know. But it's a little black seed. So much depends upon a tiny black seed covered with dirt, wet with fresh rain, next to my window. Again, I started each one with capital letters except for that one. I just kind of got crazy. And then this one, it should be down here. Maybe I meant to do that. But anyway, so the way the words form is also important to poetry. And then if you want to stop it and try it here, think about something. Look around your house. What's important to you? What is it that you're focused on for right now? And then just try writing one. And if you do, send it to me. I'd love to see it. And then maybe we can make this whole slideshow of your poetry and make it into a book. So I'm going to leave you here, but this is I'm hoping that you're going to get excited about the book. It's one of my favorite books. And on Monday, I don't know, I'm hoping you'll see this on Friday because we're going to go over this in my office hour, but try it out and then send me a picture or type one up and then send it to me. I would love to make a book out of it to have in the classroom next year. So anyway, I hope you're enjoying what we talked about poetry. Again, free verse is what we've all wished we could all write all the time. I'll see you soon. Bye.